Welcome on back to Skippers. Today we are going to do the biggest fantasy surprises by position after the first month of the season. I'm not going to take the chalk picks, the guys who were drafted pretty early, guys like past 150 ADP who have been awesome to start this season. As always, video brought to you by FanDuel Canada, our friends at FanDuel Canada, best place to be betting on baseball this season. Let's get into all the players. We'll start behind the dish, and that player is Ryan Jeffers of the Minnesota Twins. Jeffers is running the lowest strikeout rate of his career at only 16.8%. He's hitting 300, a weighted runs created plus of 171, and has hit 5 home runs with 1 stolen base and 19 RBIs. The Twins have had a favorable schedule as of late, but Ryan Jeffers is still available in nearly 40% of leagues as he is rostered 61% on Yahoo. We move to first base, and that player is Lamont Wade Jr. of the San Francisco Giants. He does this thing once a season where he is one of the best hitters in all of baseball and a priority ad in fantasy. So I'm going to think he's going to slow down at some point, but his start has been red hot. He has an incredible on-base percentage of 440 to this point. He's hitting 318, weighted runs created plus of 156, and his walk rate, again, goes into the OBP of 18% is fantastic. He still only hit 1 home run, but he's driven in 8 and has 1 stolen base. Lamont Wade Jr. has been a nice surprise once again at first base in fantasy. We keep moving to second base, and that player is going to be Bryce Terang of the Milwaukee Brewers. He was the most added player after the first weekend of the season, as he stole the most bases the first weekend of the season. And he's still just 70% rostered, so he's still a little bit available. But he was a decent prospect coming up. Didn't hit a ton last year, but right now Terang has still been able to hit. And that was his thing. If he was able to get on base, he has the speed to steal all the bases and be a great fantasy asset. Terang, a 130 weighted runs created plus to this point of the season, a 309 average, 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in, and 14 steals. A great fantasy asset. Move to shortstop, and it is Willie Castro of the Minnesota Twins. Castro has taken over a bunch of games at shortstop due to injury and has a ton of multi-position eligibility. Castro is still only 26% rostered on Yahoo. He has been crushing left-handed pitching. He has 2 home runs. He has driven in 12 and 3 stolen bases, hitting 270 with a 127 weighted runs created plus. I don't think this is super sustainable for Willie Castro. It has been the nice surprise to this point in the season. His strikeout rate's at 30%, but he's already amassed a win when you look at wins above replacement. He has been a nice surprise. Don't think it's going to last the whole season for him, though. A guy I think can last a full season, and that is at the third base position, Jordan Westberg of the Baltimore Orioles. Westberg was another preseason or first week must-add player, and he was the forgotten prospect when we look at the O's, thanks to all the Jackson Holiday hype that he had. Westberg is in a good spot right now where they are playing him everywhere to keep his bat in the lineup, but most of his defensive innings come at third base. He's running a 150 weighted runs created plus. His average is 301. He's under a 20% strikeout rate, and he has 5 home runs, 19 driven in, 4 stolen bases. I believe this is a legit player. We missed out on him because we were talking about all the other great prospects, and we forgot just how good Jordan Westberg is. I think he is legit, and I want him on my fantasy team still. We go to the outfield, and we have even year Jurickson Profar, and right now running a weighted runs created plus of 178 and still only 50% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Jurickson Profar has 4 home runs. He has driven in 21 runs, 1 stolen base in 34 games. His OBP is also fantastic. So if you're in those leagues, it's sitting at 431 right now, doing a great job of getting on base. He's never had more than a 2.5 win season. He's already at 1.5 wins so far this year. He was one of the better late signings when you look at the Major League Baseball teams. He wasn't on the roster until, a couple weeks before the season. Jurickson Profar has been the best surprise in the outfield. Move to the mound, and we'll go to starting pitchers. Shota Imanaga is up there for this one, but I think Ranger Suarez is the better choice, as Shota was going about 130 spots ahead of Ranger Suarez in drafts. Suarez has a 1.32 ERA, has an opponent average of 153, and an OBP against him under 200, and is even under 190, I think 189. He has the 3rd lowest xFIP among qualified starters and a top 10 strikeout minus walk rate. He's a great starter, so you know he's been picked up in your leagues, but I think he was the nice surprise as he's being drafted outside the top 300 in your fantasy baseball drafts. And even if you thought Ranger Suarez was a good arm, which we have known him to be, it's still a great steal. And lastly, we head to the back end of the pen and we look at relief pitchers. And I'll say the nicest surprise has been Kyle Finnegan of the Washington Nationals. He is tied for the league lead with 10 saves, and the Nats only have 15 wins to this point. He's still only 65% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Finnegan was drafted outside of the top 225 in your fantasy baseball drafts. He's running the highest strikeout rate and the highest left on base percentage of his career. Who knows if he's going to keep getting the chances to do that? Obviously, he's the closer. We'll see how well the Nats have been playing. Another surprise of a team kind of doing the same thing they were last season. So the Nats keep winning. Finnegan's going to be at the back end of that pen, locking down some saves. I think he has been the nicest surprise to this point in the season. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Let me know what you think of the players. If anyone else you'd like to nominate for their position after the first month, we will see you guys tomorrow for Must Add.